Amid rising tensions with North Korea, the U.S. and South Korea are conducting a massive military exercise to increase combat readiness. Why the North says this brings them closer to war. President Trump is tweeting about Republican candidate Roy Moore. Hear why he says the government needs the Alabama candidate despite the sexual assault allegations against him.
Education or deportation! Education or deportation!
And a Clean Dream Act takes center stage. We'll show you how the latest standoff could affect the spending bill and lead to a potential government shutdown. And the first and only supermoon of the year happened last night. When you can expect to see the next one coming up. Thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. I'm Elizabeth Janot with meteorologist Emily Borchard here. And boy, was that a beautiful supermoon.
Yeah, we really got to enjoy it because the cold front came in and skies were clear. And thank you so much. We love seeing your viewer pictures. This morning, the first freezing temperatures of the season for many down into the 20s and 30s. Yeah, I had to spend a little extra time doing that this morning, maybe scraping off some ice. And you know what? We've got a nice warm up to look forward to this weekend. After starting in the 20s and 30s, this is where we're headed this weekend. Today, about 64 in Austin, and tomorrow closer to 70 degrees. So finally feeling like fall, at least in the morning hours. It gets even warmer into the start of next week. We'll take a look at your Monday forecast in the next 10 minutes. We're going to take a look at that 3-day forecast.
Great. Looking forward to the warm up. Thanks so much, Emily. Now, new this morning, the United States and South Korea are holding combined combat exercises. The Air Force says the two nations conduct military training every year in the Korean Peninsula. The exercise comes after North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missile test last week. Experts say it would be able to strike the United States. The 5-day combat drill is set to improve the allies' wartime capabilities. In Washington, D.C., President Trump is tweeting his support for Republican Roy Moore in the Alabama Senate race. His tweet says, quote, Democrats' refusal to give even one vote for massive tax cuts is why we need Republican Roy Moore to win in Alabama. Many Republicans stopped supporting Moore after allegations of sexual misconduct against him. The White House has said the president has no plans to make campaign appearances for Moore. Here in Austin, some graduate students are walking out of the University of Texas to protest the new tax bill. They say the plan will tax tuition waivers as income, which will put a strain on those who already have a hard time making ends meet.
Many of us are already not making a living wage. So for people struggling with access, that's going to make it even harder to get access to these university spaces and to be able to survive in these spaces and do the work that we come here to do.
Organizers hope if the tax plan is signed into law, the university will review and possibly overhaul policies on student worker compensation. On Capitol Hill now, lawmakers continue to battle over the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, also known as DACA, and their decision could prompt a government shutdown. Our Victoria Moranin is at the state capitol, where Texas lawmakers will speak later on today with Dreamers. Victoria?
Democrats are threatening to withhold support for the proposed spending bill if Congress doesn't come up with a way to protect DACA recipients. That comes in the form of a DREAM Act, which Texas state lawmakers will discuss later on today. 5 state lawmakers, including Senator Kirk Watson, State Representatives Eddie Rodriguez and Celia Israel, will meet with young immigrants for the Dreamers dinner tonight. They will talk about how ending DACA has been affected so-called Dreamers as the federal government continues to scuffle over immigration issues. Right now, Democrats are holding their support for the spending bill hostage in exchange for a clean DREAM Act, which would protect DACA recipients from deportation. But the Trump administration wants to add stricter border enforcement into the draft, an idea Democrats don't support. Funding for the federal government is set to run out on Friday, which adds even more pressure for Republicans to gather the votes they need. Now, even though the GOP controls both houses, they still need Democratic support to pass the bill. At the state capitol, Victoria Moranin, Spectrum News.
Authorities arrested a Chicago man for transporting undocumented immigrants near the Texas-Mexico border. The man was pulled over last week near Laredo after he didn't stop at a checkpoint on I-35. Federal agents found 12 people inside his tractor trailer. The people were from Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador. The driver faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted. Now, immigration rights advocates are demanding answers after 3 women say they were sexually assaulted at the Hutto Detention Center. Advocates and community members are asking Sheriff Robert Chody to take over the investigation. They want local officials to weigh in after federal investigators said they found no basis for one of the claims. Advocates say past sexual assault complaints have been found valid and claim another case wasn't prosecuted because local and federal agencies could not agree on who had jurisdiction. In other news this morning, CVS is buying Aetna Health Insurance in one of the largest health insurance deals in history. The drugstore chain will buy Aetna for $69 billion. Now, if the deal goes through, CVS could provide customers more medical services. CVS has nearly 10,000 locations, and Aetna covers around 22 million people. The Ronald McDonald House is delivering holiday joy to families with children in the hospital. Their annual Lights of Love event turns the house into a winter wonderland. Kids decorated cookies, listened to music, and got to meet Santa Claus. After sunset, families watched the tree lighting. Organizers say events like these help the holidays feel special for these families.
Today, our guests who are staying with us, maybe it's the older siblings, the well siblings, they're coming out tonight to have fun along with our community members, just to feel like a normal kid again, like a normal family.
15 families are staying at the Ronald McDonald House. The house is located across the street from the Dell Children's Medical Center. Now, hopefully you saw the show last night. Stargazers and astronomers alike got a chance to see the first and only supermoon of 2017. This was a view from Washington, D.C. If you missed it this time, keep your eyes on the sky next month. That's because 2 more will be visible in January. And still ahead here on Spectrum News, these young Texans are getting some quiet time with the big man in red. Stay tuned to see how children with special needs are visiting with Santa just like everyone else.